What did she catch her with? Choke? Do you know what kind of choke?
The D'arce choke.
D'arce choke.
Jasmine Jasudavicius here. Don't forget to tap into the D'arce podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of the D'arce podcast. It's UFC 310. Keep your guard up because titles are on the line, and we are back. I am joined by my guys, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and Cal on the ones and twos. It's your boy Brasco Bets, breaking down every fight on this UFC 310 card. We got Kai Asakura challenging Alexandre Pantoja in the flyweight title in his debut, UFC debut, just automatic bid for the title. That's wild. We got Shavkat versus Garry, title eliminator at welterweight, and all sorts of bangers lined up on this card. Gentlemen, I mean, first of all, Slick, I got to ask, do you think Asakura is deserving of a title shot right away?
I mean, I just think that his stardom is already has been shown out in Rising. Freaking packed house just to watch him fight, and he's a fun fighter, man. He's one of those guys that's not just holding and praying, holding and laying down on you. He's coming in there to bang, and he's coming in there to get a knockout. So this is gonna be a fun one, man.
He is an all-action guy, man. He's got soccer kick knockout on his record, so he's looking to bring the fight. Should be amazing against the savvy vet Pantoja. And Mr. Plus, Shavkat versus Garry, the kill cliff. You know, they've sparred together before. He says, I subbed you in training. Garry says, hey, I can piece you up. We saw some videos of him succeeding. I mean, how excited are you for this welterweight scrap?
I'm pumped up for that fight. I'm also pumped up to see one of my favorite fighters since the Contender Series started. Bryan Battle is back for Battle.
That's right. Bryan Battle, no longer Pooh Bear. He's the Butcher, and he's fighting Randy Rude Boy Brown, one of my favorites. Another great matchup. So let's get right into things. And guys, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Smash the like if you like what we're putting down. And guys, we got to begin with something that's hit 6 times in a row. That is none other than the Slick Report.
Yeah, check this. He's the master of the breakdown. The Slick moves. That's made Kappa. Philly's finance, he improved.
And my guy going for lucky number 7. Stay hot, my guy. Who do you got for this week's Slick Report?
We're actually going with the older fighter in the fight. A lot of people be like, oh, man, why would you bet the older fighter? We're going with Max Griffin, minus 130 against Michael Chiesa. I just think this is a great spot for him in the sense that he's basically has fought a lot of good wrestlers, a lot of good grapplers, never been submitted one time in his whole UFC career. And this is, I just believe that he's just the more looking forward to his career type of guy, in the sense that I know he's been training. I know he was supposed to fight, I think like a couple months ago, got injury, took care of that. Now he's coming back now. I think he was gone like 9 months. I just don't believe in Chiesa, man. I really don't. He's the type of guy that shies away from the striking, and he just tries to wrestle you for 3 rounds, hold your back, and get into those positions that you can't sub nobody. Like the last person he subbed was Tony Ferguson in round 1. That doesn't impress me at all. Like at least Michael Chiesa is fighting good up-and-comers like Jeremiah Wells, like Michael Morales, and getting into close fights with them. You know, like I don't think Chiesa will be in a close fight against Jeremiah Wells with his wrestling credentials. And Max Griffin was able to stifle his wrestling. He was able to keep the fight on the feet. I just think Max Griffin's going to be able to have the striking edge. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns. And even if Chiesa does take him down, there's going to be so many opportunities for Max Griffin to implement his striking and get a knockout in any point of this fight. We know Max Griffin is known for good cardio, and the one thing I really love about Max Griffin, even in this fight, is his movement. He does not stay still. His up and down, left to right movement is just what's going to help him in a huge cage. And I say huge, in the bigger cage. So I think this is a great opportunity for him to get a nice win under his belt against a good veteran in Michael Chiesa. And Michael Chiesa, for me, is just a guy that he's just going to be up in that broadcast booth talking about up-and-comers. And next thing you know, he fights a guy that's, Max Griffin is no slouch. He stays in the gym, stays active, stays training. And before that Jeremiah Wells fight, he was fighting damn near every like 6 months. So I think this is a good spot for a guy. We're getting good odds, I believe, because Chiesa was like minus 800 against Tony Ferguson. Now he's a plus money dog. I don't believe it, man. I'm believing in Max Griffin and his work ethic and his capability of still being able to just be a problem in the octagon. Don't forget, he actually won a round against up-and-comer Michael Morales. If Michael Chiesa fights him, I believe he gets knocked out within the first 3 minutes against Michael Morales. So give me Max Griffin, man, for lucky number 7, -130 money line.
There you go. Slick going with, I almost said Michael Morales, going with Max Griffin, who gave a good fight to Michael Morales. And yeah, still got it. 39 years old. Mr. Plus, what do you think of this matchup?
I love everything that Slick said, and I'm going to give a little more in-depth when I talk about the Plus Bus. Somebody might be on it already. I don't even know. Maybe.
All right, interesting. A little foreshadowing there. Maybe joining you. I, unfortunately, am not. And I hate to crash the bus or stop the Slick hot streak. I mean, hey, I may very well be wrong. I just feel like he's going to outgrind him, Slick. I feel like Chiesa is going to bring that annoying wrestling attack. You know, we have seen Max Griffin, yes, fight some tough fights and be competitive, but he has fought 3 split decisions out of his last 4 fights. He can fight to close ones. And I don't know. I don't know if his boxing is still sharp enough to keep Chiesa off of him for 3 rounds. I feel like Chiesa may be coming in with some confidence. Yeah, it was over Tony Ferguson, laced up the easy rear naked choke, but nonetheless, coming off an easy win, maybe he's destined to go right back to the broadcast booth and call him with Anthony Smith and Alain Jobin, these guys that are sort of, declining on the way out. But I feel like Chiesa at +105, I took him. I'm going to take the shot there, but totally hear your points on Max Griffin. So that's the other side for it. Plus and Slick on Griffin. And hey, if I lose, I'll be happy that they stay hot and their plays are cashing. All right, next up, speaking of plays that we hope are cashing, it's time for the Mr. Plus Parlay
Mr. Plus,
Bus.
Parlay Bus, bet it all in trust. Jabs and hooks, it's all about the rush. Put it down on the underdog, never hush. Odds stack high, feel the thrill, that's a must. And I'll see you when that shit cashes.
We got
Celebrate
3
the-
fights to talk about here. You alluded to one that Slick like. What are the other 2? Break them down for me.
Yeah, and before I get into the other 2, I will lead off with Max Payne Griffin. Listen, this is just a difference of styles, and Max Payne Griffin's style is violent. Chiesa, not so much. I like the violence. I like where he's going to take the fight. I think he's going to be stronger in the octagon, so if he does get into any of those positions where he's on the ground or on his back, he's going to pop back up, and I've seen him be pretty aggressive off his back as well, throwing elbows. I do like Max Griffin to get this done. And like Slick said, he won that round against Michael Morales. I'm not trying to do UFC math, but Chiesa, I don't even think he'd last 3 minutes. Like you said, 3 minutes. I thought that's graceful. I don't see that against a guy like Chiesa. Also, Max Payne Griffin has fought just about everybody. He's been around forever. He's a dog. I like him. Not that Chiesa hasn't, but Max Payne Griffin is more active. I get it. Chiesa fought 3 months ago. Max Payne Griffin is way more consistent in taking these fights. I think he takes his ranking and breaks into the top 20 all day after he beats Michael Chiesa. For leg number 2 on the parlay bus, we're going up to my favorite fighter. And don't get me wrong, this is a sketchy leg for me just because the line is weird to me. I'm taking Bryan Battle. And like Brasco said, he's no longer Pooh Bear. He is now the Butcher, and he's been proving it. He told everybody in an interview, once they feel these hands, the power in his hands, and that's honestly because he was a big boy. He started his career as a heavyweight. He's shredded all the way down to where he is now, and he's fighting Rude Boy at 170. Listen, Rude Boy's no slouch. We saw him even with the broken toe get the victory. He is a dog in there. I just think he's too calculated for a guy like Bryan Battle, who's just going to bring the fight right in his face. And again, the more violent fighter. You're going to see me using that word a lot for this card because there are some seriously violent fighters on this card. Bryan Battle, the Butcher, being one of them. I think he does exactly what he has to do to get this job done. I'm not sure where he finishes the fight in the second or third round because both of these guys are pretty durable. So I could see Battle taking a decision. I don't know that he puts Randy Rude Boy Brown out, but I do think we get the job done convincingly, at least 2-1 rounds. Bryan Battle's just going to be way more active. He's nonstop with the hands. Give me Battle for the second leg to close off the Mr. Plus parlay bus. Then, of course, I want to hear what you guys think about all these picks. I'm going with Shavkat Rakhmonov. I am so excited to see this guy again Fuck Ian Garry. I am not an Ian Garry fan whatsoever. This dude talks way too much. And when you took your wife's last name, you lost all respect for me, bro. You are a man of the house, bro. He just talks. This guy contradicts himself in so many different levels. I can't get behind him. Ever since his first time on the podium and his first ever press conference, he made a fool of himself and talked shit and acted like Conor McGregor, and he thinks he's Conor McGregor, and you're not, bro. Find yourself, be yourself. Conor McGregor doesn't speak Portuguese. You do. That's cool. Be a cool guy. You're not fucking cool. Nobody likes you. Now, the bouncy karate style, I just don't think is going to work against Shavkat. Again, the more violent fighter is going to be the guy in this one. He's going to take it into the clinch. He's going to give him the elbows. I could see Shavkat finishing this fight in the later rounds, 3, 4, or 5, because I do think Ian Garry will run away and bounce around for a couple rounds. Other than that, Shavkat by destruction. If he gets his hands on him early, it'll end early too. That's the bus. I'll see you when that shit cashes.
Can you tell that Mr. Plus does not like Ian Garry? Wow, that is a fantastic fight. Plus 211. If you put them together, he's going Max Griffin, Brian Battle, Shavkat, Rachmanov to close it out. We talked about Max Griffin plenty. Fellas like him, good deal. Slick, let's talk about Brian Battle versus Randy Rude Boy Brown. Man, he said it. I mean, he's on fire right now ever since The Ultimate Fighter. He's 6-1-1 in the UFC, with one of those being a no contest in which he was whooping Angelusa's ass, and Angelusa got bailed out by a weird scenario. So it should be 7-1. With his lone loss coming to Renat Fakhretdinov, where he just got out-grinded, out-grappled. So, man, he's been putting people away. This is definitely a step up in competition, though. Like Mr. Plus said, Randy Rude Boy Brown, been around the block, slick striker on the outside. But I like how he kind of said it. Randy's going to need to fight, point fight on the outside, stick and move, hit him with those straight punches, angle off, use that agile footwork and use the low kicks. Brian Battle's going to bring the pressure, and I wonder if Brown can stay safe in that attack. So, it's no secret. A lot of people know I'm a big Randy Brown fan. I love his style. He's a Queens guy, and I'm going to be rooting for him. I think plus 190 is a little bit wide. Mr. Plus even said he felt the odds are wide, but I am a little scared of Brian Battle, man. He's a battle axe that's coming through. So as a fan, I'm going to ride a little half unit on Randy Brown, but I totally see why Mr. Plus is siding with Brian Battle. What do you think of this great matchup?
This is definitely I would say that this is probably my third confident bet of the day. Like, I really like Brian Battle in this spot. Like Mr. Plus said, man, this is a guy that's just gonna keep the pressure going. And that's one thing I've seen in a lot of tape that I watched of Randy Brown recent, is that when the fight is not on his pace, he just doesn't know what to do. He tries to implement that front kick, tries to keep that stance going. I mean, keep that movement going. And I just loved what I've seen from Brian Battle against Kevin Jousset. He was able to cut the cage off, keep Jousset in a position that he was able to inflict more damage. And I just think that's gonna happen against a guy like Randy Brown. Like, we seen him fight against good power punchers, and in those fights he was just too hesitant to really get into those exchanges, like against Francisco Trinaldo, like against Chaos Williams, like even against Zaleski dos Santos in his last fight. He was scared to get into those exchanges, and I just think Brian Battle is a guy that he makes you go into those exchanges. He makes you, he'll give you that little soft jab that you're popping off so he could hit you with something harder. So I just think that this is going to be a good edge. And on the plus side, we've seen Randy Brown get stuck on his back. He's one of those guys that try to throws up submissions when he's on his back. So if Brian Battle even tries to implement some grappling, I think he'll be able to stay on top, implement some good elbows. So I just think this is a good spot for Brian Battle to just make a good name for himself. He's been fighting a lot of unranked guys. Now he's fighting Randy Brown, no commodity. So if he gets a good win against Randy Brown, man, he definitely is going up from here. So, yeah, I like Brian Battle.
Very interesting breakdown there, and I totally, see the side for Battle there. I'll be rooting for Brown, though. I think it'll be competitive, but, he should bring the fight to him. We'll see how they clash. And the last leg of Mr. Plus's parlay bus was Shavkat Rachmanov versus Ian Garry. He's going with Shavkat, the boogeyman right now, the welterweight division, straight up. I mean, Slick, this is going to be a good matchup, I think. Maybe the odds are a little wide, but the menacing kickboxing attack, the power, the nasty strangle and the chokehold, just physical grappling. and the skill and toughness he's shown too. Do you think it's going to overwhelm Garry at some point, who's probably going to want to keep the distance, right? Use that front kick like he does, like a jab, use his straight punches, and maybe, I don't want to say point fight, but fight on the outside with his kicks. Do you think that the pressure can break him?
Yeah, I just think this is a horrible matchup for a guy like Garry, because he's the type of guy that he wants to, outpoint you, keep the fight on the outside. He's one of those guys that just wants to win. If he's able to just hold you for 3 rounds, if he's able to outpoint you for 3 rounds, or 5 in this case, he's gonna be able to. He's gonna want to do it. He's not one of those guys that's feeding off the crowd and let's get into a brawl now. Because the one thing that we've known him for coming into the UFC was his great striking. And now he's starting to be too hesitant when it comes to his striking. We've seen Jeff Neal crack the fuck out of him in that first round. He said, fuck getting in those brawls. I'm not doing that at all the rest of the fight. And the same thing with Michael Venom Page. He wasn't able to get that submission that I don't know how the hell Michael Venom Page was able to get out of there. Like, it was under the neck and all. And he just wasn't trying to tap. And then when the fight was on the second round, Michael Venom Page was cracking him. And then the third round came, he was like, nah, we're not doing that no more. We're just going to grapple and stuff. And that's the one concern in this fight. He's, been taking this small camp with Shoot the Lima guys, Charles Oliveira, getting his grappling going. But, do you really want to grapple with Shavkat? The one thing I love about Shavkat is that he's been in Kill Cliff FC for his whole career, damn near. He's been fighting, grappling with killers in that camp. Guys like Gilbert Burns has been telling us about him too, be saying watch out for him. I just don't know how he's going to be able to have success here. The one concern about Shavkat is his striking defense. He's one of those guys that he's willing to eat one to give one, but I just haven't seen him in a spot that Ian Garry's going to be able to hurt him. He's one, like Shavkat quickly recovered from a great right hand that Jeff Neal landed. I'm just not too high on Ian Garry to really have. I just don't think Ian Garry's going to get his respect. So if Ian Garry doesn't get his respect early, I think this is going to be Shavkat's world, man. So, yeah, like Mr. Plus, I like him to finish the fight in the later rounds. Once Ian Garry is a little hesitancy with his striking even more now that he's more tired. So I'm going to take Shavkat, and I'm going to take him by submission. I think he gets the fight down to the ground or even a standing back take. So give me Shavkat.
Ooh, Shavkat by late strangle. I like it. I see the fight very similar to you guys. So, yeah, I think pressure bursts him eventually. I don't think he's going to be able to maintain that range. And like you said, if he can't get the respect, then eventually he'll break, because Shavkat showed great toughness against Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal was piecing him up, and he was getting hurt, but he walked right through the fire and showed that he could win a nasty scrap like that. Ended up finishing Jeff Neal with just a nasty strangle. I could see maybe a similar end here, maybe in the 4th, 5th round. That would be awesome. But Garry's got toughness of his own, so I think he'll be competitive. Of course, they've trained together at Kill Cliff before, and that will lead us in to the Brasco breakdown.
Brasco's breakdown.
And I segue so smoothly from point to segment to point back here because my pick is the over 2.5 rounds in Shavkat versus Ian Garry. Now, like the fellas alluded to, Shavkat could bring that pressure and break Ian Garry later, but I do think it lasts past the halfway mark in this fight. I think that their familiarity from training under Henry Hoof together, I know just for a brief period, but at Kill Cliff FC will just create that sort of sense of feeling out process, right? This is a 5-rounder. Both guys not familiar with 5-round fights. So there's a world where they both take their time, try to feel out the reads first and kind of get a sense of the rhythm before they just dive in and bring the fight. And I think you might have a feeling out process that, we maybe burn some time in the first round. And even if damage is landed, I think both guys can take each other's first punch. Garry's shown toughness before. He's gotten hurt early in fights and rallied back. Shavkat, like we just talked about, took some damage against Jeff Neal. So I'll be worried a little bit. I think the finishing upside is definitely on Shavkat's side, but I think Garry can last. I think he can maintain range for a little bit, use some straight punches, use that front kick like a jab, and keep the distance, try to dictate the terms. Eventually, I do think he breaks, but this one's going over 2.5. The line's now at 3.5 for plus 105, I believe. So I like the minus 150, just playing the halfway mark, really. But I'm not mad at 3.5 either, fellas. So I'm wondering how you see this fight. Do you think, Mr. Plus, that Garry can last the way you see it, thinking Shavkat can finish him? Think it lasts? I'm wondering your takes. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is that. Like I already said, I think this fight gets to at least the championship rounds. I think it at least gets to the fourth or fifth round. But if Shavkat comes in there on his grappling, like how he did against Wonder Boy, yeah, it could be early. But I like to at least the championship rounds.
Championship rounds we're looking for. I'll be watching with bated breath. Mr. Plus is back. I was wondering your take before. Do you think this fight gets into the third or fourth, or you think Shavkat gets him out of there early?
Hard to say. Hard to say. I know that you like that over. This is a tough one to take over if Shavkat gets his hands on him. But I do like. I do lean your way, and I do like this go to the later rounds because Ian's gonna do his dancing thing and his karate style, and jab and kick and move. That's really his thing. That's maybe how he could even be a little bit successful in this fight. Is his weird karate style. However, I've heard that where he trains, and we all know those guys love to grapple, the shoot the box guys, and he trains with them, and he trains with Oliveira. We've seen that before. That's his favorite fighter. That's what he says. He's got a connection with them, and I think he can. I think he can grapple, but. I just think Shavkat's got those vice grip hands, bro. This guy is another animal. He's different, and there's a reason nobody wants to fight him. And I understand that Ian Machado Garry is looking to be champion one day, and to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I understand where he's at, but it's gonna be a bad spot for him, bad matchup. And as long as it does go to the later rounds, I think that I don't know. We haven't seen either of these guys in 5 rounds, I don't think, but I think Shavkat's going to be favored in the stamina department.
There you go. Shavkat all the way. We'll be pulling for him. Hopefully that Mr. Plus parlay bus cashes, and the slick report too with Griffin in there. Hopefully I'm dead wrong about Chiesa for you guys. I'm going for the over 2.5 in the Brasco breakdown, and that leads us to, fellas, lace them up, come together for a D'arce parlay.
What did she catch her with? Choke? Do you know what kind of choke?
The D'arce.
D'arce choke.
The D'arce podcast.
And let's lock it up. Well, we talked about it, Mr. Plus, at length. You're going with Shavkat. We know the reasons why. Let's move right on forward to the next fight. And we've got a light heavyweight banger, Slick. Who are we rocking with for your leg?
This is just a must bet for me. I understand the odds are crazy, but we have to ride with, as long as he doesn't fight a power puncher, we have to ride with Dominic Reyes in this spot against Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, at the end of the day, he's known for his submission. He's one of those guys that if he gets a guillotine, it definitely might be over. But he doesn't wrestle. Dominic Reyes doesn't wrestle. The only way you get the guillotine is if you wrestle. So I got to go with Dominic Reyes in this spot. He has the best strike. I mean, way, way better striking in this spot. I think he holds the power advantage. And if he gets Anthony Smith on his back foot, starts him worrying about, and Dominic Reyes has a good body kick as well. So if Dominic Reyes makes him, respect the kicks early too, I think Dominic Reyes could get, honestly, like a first or second round KO. So I'm going to take Dominic Reyes and send Anthony Smith back to the booth as well.
Sending him back to the booth. That's Slick's theme here. I totally agree. Reyes minus 345. I think the odds are justified, Mr. Plus. I think he smokes him with a straight left hand down the middle. Just going to be faster, more athletic, string together some combinations, and I think he'll eventually overwhelm. I like a first or second round KO as well. How do you see this fight?
Yeah, I love it. I'm all over it. Same deal, parlay piece. Dominic Reyes. Anthony Smith, I get it, and he got a couple wins in his last 5, but I'm not into it. The lead say L was a little embarrassing. And versus, Reyes' last victory against Dustin Jacoby, very impressive. Before Reyes took that hiatus and got his lights knocked out 3 fights in a row, horribly. Some of those were devastating knockouts. He did go the distance with John Jones, pound for pound, number 1 or number 2, whatever you want to call him, best fighter in the world 5 years ago. And some would say he kind of won that fight. I don't know. It was on the fence, but they unanimously gave it to John Jones. But yeah, don't sleep on Dominic Reyes. He's got fucking hands of steel. Big motherfucker, big dude, 6'4", big 205. I think he gets this job done inside the distance, first or second round knockout.
Hell yeah. Yeah, don't sleep on it. Everybody knows that he beat John Jones in that fight and then went on that terrible losing streak, like Mr. Plus said. Great to see him back in the win column in his last fight. Dustin Jacoby, it's a good win, man. Jacoby's good. So Reyes showing that he's still got something left in the tank. He's still only 34. So as long as that chin is still there, he didn't take too much damage. He's not out of this division. He's not out of the conversation here. He can still make a little run. Go Dominic Reyes. And to close out the D'arce parlay, plus 126, nothing too crazy, but we're looking to cash here. I'm going with Movsar Evloev against Aljamain Sterling in a really good featherweight matchup. We were talking before the show. Crazy this fight is on the prelims. This is a top-tier elite featherweight matchup. And I just think Evloev's going to be a little bit better everywhere than Aljo. I think Aljo at featherweight is solid, but Evloev's showing he's improving his striking. I think he can match whatever volume on the feet that Aljo throws out. And we've seen that Aljo can get put on his back, right? He's an elite grappler himself, but he's got 45% takedown defense. Guys can put him on his back. I think Evloev can mix together his wrestling with the striking, stay safe, avoid the submissions. Diego Lopez gave him that scare on short notice, and everyone's saying, "Oh, did Evloev get fraud checked?" No, not the case. Diego Lopez is elite, and he beat him nonetheless. So beating guys like Diego Lopez, Dan Ige, really, really dangerous fighters. And Arnold Allen, proving that he can even last in the striking affair with Arnold Allen. So he's proven to me that undefeated record is there for a reason. I don't think he's going to get fraud checked anytime soon. I think he's a title contender, and I see him getting past Aljamain Sterling. Slick said it before. It's not going to be maybe too exciting of a fight. Could see a lot of grappling exchanges, but I think Evloev wins a unanimous decision. That's how I'm going to play it too. Evloev as the last D'arce leg, and I'll play Evloev by decision. Mr. Plus, do you see the fight similarly, or do you think Aljo's got a shot here?
I mean, I'm just not the biggest Aljo fan, although I am from Jersey. This guy gives us a horrible reputation. Just the way he talks and is just like senseless and dumb. I mean, it's horrible. However, the Evloev, I'm not sold on him, although the fight against Arnold Allen was pretty impressive. But I'm not sold on Movsar, so this is going to definitely be his biggest test. Let's not forget Aljamain did reign champ for a good hot minute there. Yeah, I don't know. I hope we cash the D'arce, so I'm probably just laying off this. Does the O gotta go? I mean, some of these, we are going to see some undefeated guys lose no matter what. A couple of them are fighting each other, right? Like that Shavkat and Garry fight. So I don't know, man. I'm not sold on Movsar, and I do think Aljamain may be the stronger guy in the octagon. I'm just not sure. I have to see how this plays out. But let's be honest. Aljamain is a boring wrestler. Lay and pray, nothing to it, nothing special, no amazing finishing power. Although I guess if he clips you in the wrong way, you can go down. I don't really like this fight, but there is one thing I do like about it. I think this fight goes to distance for sure. I'm sure it's like -1,000.
Yeah, -295, something like that. Over 2.5, definitely a parlay piece. Yeah, I like Evloev decision, so distance, that's pretty reliable here. Slick, how do you see the fight?
Yeah, I really like Evloev in this spot, man. I really think that the one concern about Sterling is that he's one of those guys that try to take opportunities, trying to get your back out of nowhere. And I think that's a concern against a guy like Evloev, that he's willing to give you those opportunities, knowing he's going to get the better of him, in the sense that, yeah, you're going to get my back, but I'm going to put you in a spot that, I'm going to pick you up, and then let's see if you slide off my back. And his fight IQ is just, I believe, is probably some of the best in this division. He fought Arnold Allen, wasn't really able to get the wrestling going all like that. And he was able to just, I wouldn't say out-volume Arnold Allen, because Arnold Allen did have good volume in that fight as well. But he was just able to just go toe-to-toe with a guy that in this division that was known with good power. So if Evloev, in the sense that he doesn't even, let's say if he comes into this fight and doesn't even want to grapple, just says, fuck it, I'm going to just stuff all of Aljamain Sterling's takedowns and we're going to keep this fight on the feet, I think he wins this fight 9 times out of 10. I think he has good volume. Aljo on the feet, he's more of a wait for his moment type of guy. He does the little, and then next thing you know, he just blitzes you out of nowhere with a punch or two. And I just don't think that's going to work against a technician like Evloev. You know, we've seen him have good moments against Arnold Allen, against Diego Lopez. And I just think he knows how to win in these spots against a grappler like Aljo, that he's normally the better grappler in the sense. I just think he's just going to be able to just stifle Aljamain Sterling's grappling. And then once Aljo gets tired, we know, like Peter Yan was able to have success, even though Peter Yan is an underrated grappler and wrestler in his own right. But Peter Yan was able to have good success in that 5th round and that 4th round against them. If the grappling exchanges are really like how I expect them to be, I think Aljo gets more tired than Evloev in this spot. So I think Evloev wins at least 2 rounds, like decisively. And maybe Sterling gets like a 3rd round while Evloev, you know, takes his back and gets everybody scared type shit. So like a Charles Vieira. You know,
survive one submission scare, but ultimately Evloev domination. I like it. Slick. Totally see the same way. So let's go cash that D'arce parlay one more time, guys. It's Shavkat Rakhmonov, Dominic Reyes, and Movsar Evloev. Put them together and let's lace it up. All right, fellas, you gotta like, you gotta subscribe. We gotta talk about the main event of the evening. Oh, baby, Kai Asakura, the Japanese sensation, challenging for the flyweight title against Alexandra Pantoja, making title defenses, man. Guy's looking like a savvy veteran, all of a sudden building a legacy at flyweight that a lot of people just did not expect. And I wonder how you guys see this fight. Slick, I'm going to start with you. Asakura coming from Ryzen, fighting some really good names, but also losing to lesser guys. He's gone 1-1 against Manel Kape. Right? What do you think again about his chances in a matchup against Pantoja, who's shown he can dig deep and win in championship fights when the going gets tough? You think Asakura can last with him?
I'm honestly going to throw something small on Asakura in this spot. I'm just in the sense that I know this fight is not going to go the distance. So I'm just, one thing I loved about Asakura that I watched on Ryzen is that he is a opportunistic guy. He know the one, like he's like a Carlos Prates in the sense that he knows where to hit you with those knees, with those body shots, with those punches. Like he knows where your chin is at. And a lot of time, like he's fought. Like one thing I hate about people when they're watching, like they just look at, oh my God, Pantoja versus Asakura, this guy's gonna lose. Like this guy has fought good competition. He has fought even Pantoja's training partner, sparring partner, and Kyo Haraguchi. You know, like he has fought guys like Juan Archuleta, Bellator and Ryzen champion. He has fought good guys. The one concern about Asakura is in question his grappling defense. You know, like he a lot of times, like Juan Archuleta had him in a deep ass guillotine, but he had the smarts and fight IQ to go to the side and not have to worry about the guillotine and side control. And then I just see like the one concern about him is if Pantoja gets in those opportunistic guys, like if you give Pantoja your back, man, I think Pantoja could get a sub. So I was hoping to do like a little Paul Craig and Krylov. You know how I used to do the one guy by KO, one guy by sub. But they know books are all over it, bro. Like they got both of them at damn near 2-1. They got Pantoja by sub at plus 190, and they got Asakura by KO at plus 210. It's not good enough odds for me. So I was thinking about throwing a little sprinkle on Asakura just for the simple fact that he's getting a title shot, coming out from Ryzen. And then, but my favorite bet is the fight to not go the distance. Like this is gonna be a great opportunity for one of these guys to get a finish, either Pantoja by sub or Asakura by KO. So yeah, bet to not go the distance. But I'm gonna throw a little sprinkle on Asakura.
Oh man, Asakura. Let's make it a competitive one. I definitely think he can. I agree with Slick. However long it lasts, it's going to be awesome. Not to go the distance, minus 250 if you like that parlay piece from Slick. Mr. Plus, I agree. Like we were talking about Aljo before, his saying is if I take your back, it's a wrap. That's the case for Pantoja too. His back takes are lethal. And Asakura gets into these wild exchanges, right? I mean, we can see him maybe give up his back or give up a bad grappling position where Pantoja is just not to be played with. He's an anaconda, man. So what do you think? Can Asakura put damage on him first, maybe? Or do you think Pantoja has his way and takes it with a sub?
So you're telling me that this Japanese dude from Ryzen's gonna come into the UFC and take out our champ at 135 that just fucking beat Steven Urseg convincingly. I think it thought it was beat Roy Val, Slick, your favorite. Bro, and this guy's gonna come in. We're gonna sprinkle. No more arbitrage betting for Slick, is what they said. You can't arbitrage the methods of victory on this one. But what you could do is definitely put in. I don't think it'll be a late finish. I think it'll be an early finish while they're dry. I watched some of Kai Asakura's tapes. You're right. He's very wild exchanges. Don't get me wrong. If he connects, he's got that power. But I don't think Pantoja is going to just let him connect that easily. I think he slips out, takes the back. This is MMA. They don't have to stand and throw down. If Pantoja sees that he's better off grappling and has a greater advantage there, that's exactly where he's going to take the fight. And technique over strength all day. Even if Asakura is a little bit stronger, Pantoja is going to put him in some bad spots where he can end this fight. I see a rear naked choke. I do see a submission victory. And let's be honest. I mean, one thing about Pantoja that we've seen now that he is up and comer, and since that Brandon Moreno fight, which was a split, guy's got great fight IQ. Great fight IQ. Is always aware of where he's at, kind of knows if he's up or down in the cards and where he's got to be, will hold you down and take your back and try to submit you. But even if he doesn't, just keep you there for the whole round and take the round. I mean, guy's got great fight IQ. So I don't think this guy, I don't care where he's from or what other fight league he's from. UFC is top tier. It's UFC 310. This isn't UFC 105. I mean, this is top tier fighters. Pantoja's champ for a reason. Give me the cannibal, and still, I mean, I don't think it's going to be close. I mean, the only thing I could say is if Pantoja's the last leg of a nice big fat plus money parlay, I might hedge just to protect my units, not because I think Asakura is going to win.
But absolutely the wise thing to do. Of course, last fight of the night, if you have the favorite, always a good opportunity to hedge the dog. And yeah, I agree, man. I just think it's too tall of a task in your UFC debut to take on a guy like Pantoja. Agree with all the points Mr. Plus made. But I can see him making competitive for a little bit. I think we'll have a ooh-ah moments, right? He's going to bring the fight, and it should be fun, man. So I'm looking forward to this flyweight title fight. And now, guys, it's time to move on to the dogs of the week. I think we've all got one we're interested in as a crew here. A fight that we have yet to talk about on the main card. I'm going to let Mr. Plus kick it off because he brought it to the team first, and I loved it. Odds are moving up, too. If you didn't bet it yet, still on the rise. Who do you like as your dog of the week, sir?
Well, these two have fought before, and they're fighting again. And we're getting a great line here on this fight at plus 250 or something beautiful.
295 now, bro.
290 plus 300 by the time this goes off, because the dummies are just going to throw down parlays with Cyril Gane. We're talking about Alexander Volkov, the giant, the big lethal Drago. I mean, dude, we saw in his last fight, he beat the shit out of his training partner, Sergey Pavlovich, who I'm still very high on, the machine. and Volkov put it on him. Man, I'll tell you, ever since Volkov, who was that fight? The Romanov? No, Jarinzo, Rosenstrike. Ever since the Rosenstrike fight, this guy's been electric, and he's getting better every fight. I think Cyril Gane's going to get to see a new Volkov, and Volkov's size and power. I mean, you know what I really think Volkov's corner has been telling him? Bro, just throw, because your punches are powerful. And maybe he didn't think he was powerful. You know, you're a lanky guy. You see a big, strong guy. You're not necessarily thinking you're as powerful as him. Bro, this guy's got power. Huge man, huge species. What is he? The number 3 ranking. I like this man. I think he beats Cyril Gane, and then maybe he wants that Aspinall rematch, or I don't know, but I don't know where he's going after this one. But I'd like to see our guy Volkov get the W, and I'm taking the plus money dog shot. Give me Alexander Volkov, and I call me crazy. I think he can finish the fight. And I know Cyril Gane's got the nice, swift kickboxing stand up, and guy's nasty on his feet. But I just think the length of Volkov might be there, and we're going to see that power. I think we're going to see him let his hands go and see that same power we saw against Pavlovich.
Let
me know what you guys think, too.
Very, very, very interesting here. We're going with Alexander Volkov, odds up to plus 295. Looks like I'll kick it over to you, but they have fought before in a 5-rounder. Gane had his way with him, but Mr. Plus said it. Volkov's been on a tear. Looks like he's getting better with age, letting the hands go more. Do you think this version of Volkov can beat Gane second time around?
Yeah, definitely, because this is just a good spot for Volkov. You getting Gane. I believe he had got Gane on his win streak, where Gane was rising up in the rankings, and that was a more dangerous Gane. Now, I don't know what Gane we're getting out in this fight. This is a fight not in Paris, because I believe his last two fights other than the John Jones fight was in Paris. So now we're getting Gane that has been on a layoff, saying that he's been getting his grappling going, which we know, like, come on, bro. Like, your grappling will never get better. You got out-wrestled for the first time ever by we never seen Francis Ngannou shoot a takedown until he fought you. Like, we know your ground game is atrocious. Volkov, on the other hand, has just been rising up, man. This is a guy that we know that he's gonna bring the fight to you, like, in the sense that I just don't think that Gane is going to be able to have that swift movement. Volkov has been implementing a good leg kick in his last couple fights. And if he gets that leg kick going early, man, I think that he's definitely going to be able to dictate the range. And if this fight that's minus almost 300 to go the distance in a 3-round fight, I got to take Volkov, sensing that if he at least makes one of those fights, if Volkov comes in here and shoots a takedown, he dominates this fight. This is a guy that Von Flue choked, Tai Tuivasa, who is not is trash on the ground. But come on now, just to be able to get a Von Flue choke on fucking anybody is just high level grappling. If he comes in here and shoots a takedown on Gane probably won't know what the fuck to do. So I'm actually gonna take a shot on Volkov plus money, but the plus 3.5 at minus 105. You're telling me that Volkov only got to win one round, knowing Gane isn't that finishing type of guy that's going to be able to knock out Volkov. I got to take a snap at that for 1 unit. So I'm going to take a half a unit shot on him money line. I'm going to put a whole unit on him at plus 3.5, minus 105.
I love it, man. The plus 3.5 spread. That's a good play there. I think I'm going to be on that as well. I like the Volkov money line too from Mr. Plus. We're all in as a D'arce podcast on Alexander Volkov because that's my main thing. Like, after watching him just fold like nothing to John Jones, everybody and their mother's got to say, I'm trying to take this guy down. Like, we know that he used to have grappling skill. I remember didn't he have like a heel hook win over like Dontel Mays or someone like that? Like, I thought he was, going to be a demon on the ground too. But no, we saw Francis Ngannou in that title fight reverse him in the 5th round when he was on his back. And ever since then, the word's out, you got to grapple Cyril Gane. So if I'm Volkov, I'm trying to grapple too. But the one thing I'm concerned about is the layoff, or excuse me, the delay in the fight was that, Volkov had to delay it, I think because of a knee injury. And coming back here, I'm just hoping that he's fully healed up because I agree with Slick. I think the low kicks are going to be, big. Gane's going to throw low kicks. Volkov's going to look to answer back. So if his knees can hold up, if there's nothing still lingering there, I think that should be a competitive battle right there. We know, Gane's got that bouncy, flowy style, but he's got to kind of like start falling into rhythm and kind of go downhill. Sometimes it takes him a little while. If he can't get that rhythm going and start, tiki-taka, just finding his steps and finding his flow, then maybe, Volkov leads the dance. And if the grappling is involved at all, I'll feel amazing about the Volkov plus 295 ticket. So we're going for it. I like Volkov to try to win a round from Slick too. That's plus 3.5 at minus 105. Those are really good odds too. Let's go Alexander Volkov and see if we can get Cyril Gane up out of here. Volkov 36, Gane 34. You think about it, for how long is Volkov's UFC tenure? You would think he's 40 years old and Gane was 10 years younger than him, but not the case. So Volkov still got fight in him and absolutely destroyed his boy with the comb in the corner against Sergey Pavlovich last fight, jabbing his old friend's face off in his corner, man, just combing his hair. That was savage stuff, savage work. All right, fellas, we did the dogs of the week. We did the D'arce parlay. We went through all of our picks. We got to talk about the fights we haven't talked about. It's time for the honorable mentions. And there's a lot of fights to still cover, guys, so let's get right into it. First of all, this has got to be the banger of the night. Mr. Plus, Nate the Train Landwehr coming after Duho Choi in this fight. Landwehr minus 140, Choi plus 120. Choi's got sneaky big power in his hands, and Landwehr just an absolute ballroom brawler. So I think this should be violence. You were talking about violence before. What do you think in this fight?
Yeah, it's not going the distance, that's for sure. I like Nate the Train, man. He's electric. I like how he runs out to the octagon and gets the crowd pumped up. And man, this guy, has no fear. Go watch some of Nate's older Instagram videos. This dude is absolutely electric. He's definitely made me a fan. In the last fights, even in the Ige decision loss, he had his moments. I really like Nate the Train and Duho Choi. I don't think he's got the power. I just think Bill Algio's a bitch and got a soft chin. So I'm not big on his power. He's taken lots of L's. I don't see this as a very even matchup. I think Nate the Train gets the best of him. I think it's a knockout inside the distance. I could see it early, first round. That's what Nate does. A lot of his best work is in the early rounds. I like first round, second round knockout. Give me Nate the Train. I love listening to this guy. I just want to hear him talk shit. Nate the Train. He calls himself the Train. When the train is coming. Bro, this guy's like a fucking WWE wrestler. I love it.
He's so funny. I saw early video of him on the Russian regional scene, and he went in and like beat an undefeated fighter. And in his post speech, he was just rapping on the mic. He was like, "I just whooped your ass." Now, I just like started freestyling. I'm like, this guy is unconscious. He's so funny. So hard not to like him. Slick, what do you think? Minus 140, like Mr. Plus said, he was competitive with Dan Ige. So if you think, if you feel that way, minus 140 should feel like a discount. Or do you think Choi brings the?
Nah, man, I got to go with Nate in this spot. And the one concern about him is, of course, is his striking defense. But the one thing that I really like about him is just his recoverability in those, like that Onama fight. He was slept, to the ground. And the next thing you know, another punch that Onama threw. And he woke back up. And then after that, it was just all hectic. And I just think this is going to be a spot that he's going to be able to have way more volume in those later rounds. Choi against guys like Kyle Nelson. Like he was just waiting for his opportunities. Really didn't put the pressure on Kyle Nelson. I think Nate Landwehr, and man, I was one of the lucky guys to watch Nate Landwehr in Atlantic City when he uppercutted Jamal Emmers to death in that spot as a plus 200 dog. Everybody in the section that I was in cashed too, because they was just asking me for bets the whole night, and I was telling them who to bet on, and we all cashed on Nate Landwehr. So man, that was a hell of a fight. Hell of a guy on the mic, man. So I'm going with Nate Landwehr in the spot. And the sneaky spot I was thinking about taking her was probably second rounds 2 or 3 KO. I think he breaks Duho Choi in the sense that, like I said, Duho Choi is more of the tactician, wants to keep the fight clean, more of the counter puncher type of guy. So I think Nate Landwehr gets in his grill, starts clinching. If he's bleeding, rub his blood on Duho Choi's face. I just think this could be like, I don't think Nate Landwehr is this type of fighter, but this could be dude like Hyder Amil versus Jin Young Lee.
Oh my
that
God.
like Nate Landwehr could just go in his face and Choi could just gets breaking. Like like he's one of those guys that, like I said, wants the fight to be clean. But Nate Landwehr could is more than capable of breaking somebody. So I gotta go with Nate Landwehr, man. Give me Nate the Train.
Nate the Train. Yeah, if he, sometimes some of those guys are just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't hurt you. You're invincible, and then you just break to that. Like, imagine fighting someone like him. I'm like, all right, just knock me out then, because I can't knock you out. It's a wrap. And sometimes he just does that to people. So Nate the Train there. -140's got to feel good. I like it. I'm going to bet that. Oh, my God. The earth is flat. Bryce Mitchell is a -800 favorite, and the earth must be flat. He's fighting Crone Gracie, +550. I mean, the jiu-jitsu family, Gracie's, Crone, looked terrible last time out against Charles Jourdain, just pulling guard, hoping to pull off a submission. Jourdain stayed safe. I mean, Mitchell -800, geez, like he's -200 by decision. So books are just, banking that he dominates every round. Probably that easy with his wrestling, right? He's a better striker, too, than Gracie. Is there a world maybe he finishes him? We could find some plus money or some value in this fight?
I mean, I did throw a little quarter unit on him by KO at +650. There's nowhere in the world that I think he submits a Crone Gracie Gracie in this spot. So maybe he just gets in full mounts and just keeps elbowing him. And like we've seen him do it against guys like Barbosa, whenever he got into full mount. So maybe he does like a just you got to fight back. And then he just elbowing him, and Crone Gracie just, because, we've seen him fight against Jourdain, and all he tried to do was pull guard. So Gracie is just going to be trying to, pull knee bars, pull he hooks, and Bryce Mitchell is going to be able to get opportunities to get him out of there with just punches. So maybe he catches him, and next thing you know, he maybe tries to go for a heel hook, hits him, and then Crone Gracie just covers up. Because at the end of the day, he's going to get some good ass money. Fighting on the main card of this pay-per-view, hey, man, you're definitely going to make some good money because people are definitely not coming to watch you. So, Bryce Mitchell +650 by KO.
That's the way to play it, in my opinion. I see it the same way. Maybe he can get some ground and pound going. Mr. Plus, he almost died against Josh Emmett. It would be nice, on whatever you think about Bryce Mitchell, maybe to see him be relevant again with a big win. I mean, how do you see this fight?
I'm probably going to be taking a blunt break or a nap during this fight. I'm definitely not looking forward to it. And not for nothing, not because I don't want to bet on it, just because it's fucking -700, 800. It's just crazy seeing Bryce Mitchell at this line. I guess I'll try to tail slick for a quarter unit just so I could stay near the TV and keep tabs on what's going on. And Brasco said he's doing it too. Yeah, why not? Quarter unit on the knockout. We might even want to do pick it by rounds. Pick round 2, round 3. I don't know. Can I skip this one? Can we skip this one?
We'll go ahead and skip it. By the way, I just realized in the bottom right says recording error. So we're going to keep going, but I'm really praying that this is working. So moving on, if you see the episode, just know that everything's okay. Moving forward onto the next one, we got a weird one, man. It's Chris Weidman taking on Eric Anders, and I think Slick's got a take here. I don't want to have a take, but the old veteran Weidman, maybe he can maybe pull off another one. He beat Bruno Silva, eye pokes and all. Still got some grappling savvy, right? He dealt with him. And Eric Anders, I mean, yeah, he's still athletic and physical and brolic. He's got, still competing in grappling tournaments, so in shape. But he did get knocked down by Jamie Pickett, and I just can't shake that. So I guess I lean Weidman for that reason. Slick, do you like Chris Weidman?
Yeah, I'm definitely going with Chris Weidman in this spot. My whole take was in their last fight, Chris Weidman in, New York, perfect opportunity to get a boring ass win, but the crowd's happy, that you're from New York, and then next thing you know, they give you the win and you retire. I was more confident in that. Now he's fighting Eric Anders. I don't know what was the medical issue that was on the Anders side that had to stop the fight their first time. So I'm going to go to Chris Weidman, and I'm going to go with the same take I had in the first fight. Chris Weidman is just going to make this fight more boring. He's probably going to have the more clinch control. He's probably going to have the better wrestling. Well, I'm not going to say should have. He is going to have the better wrestling. in this spot. So maybe he stays on top. The ref says move. He moves, doesn't do no damage, but he moves, stays on top. Eric Anders tired, second and third round. He's done. Just hurry up, get the decision, and I'm out of here. So Chris Weidman by boring decision.
Oh man, I hope. I mean, Mr. Plus, is this going to be another break spot for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Eric Anders has a size 24-inch neck, and there's no submitting or knocking him out. Uh, Basically, like a girl's waist is his neck. So there's no real finishing. You can't choke him. Yeah, listen, if you lost to Mark Andre Barrial, I am fading you forever. So that's Eric Anders lost to him. I'm going to take Weidman. I think he's got that dog in him still, and maybe one more. But let's be honest. Both of these guys are really old and probably not going to be in the UFC that much longer. So I guess enjoy it while they share the octagon because might never see these guys again.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Yeah, not long for either of their careers, but yeah, should be an interesting fight nonetheless. We got Clay Guida plus 650 against Chase Hooper minus 1,000. What world did we ever think to see Chase Hooper as a minus 1,000 favorite? But I kind of get it here. Like, he's getting a lot better. He was piecing up our boy Slava Borshev with some good striking, and of course, he's dangerous on the ground. We've seen Guida submitted before by guys like Claudio Puelles, hit him with the knee bar. He's gotten subbed by another number of other fighters, and I feel like Hooper profiles kind of similarly. Guida's turning 43 on Sunday, so a day after the fight day, he'll be 43. I mean, geez, man, what is he, like 34 and 28, or he's got a long ass pro career. Too much damage. I think Hooper puts him away inside the distance. So I'm gonna wait for odds to come out on that. But I don't even know if there's any value. Mr. Plus, do you think he just destroys him, or you think Clay Guida maybe brings out the toughness and wrestling one more time?
For his birthday, what a good narrative too, right? Just one last birthday present for my 100th fight. Dude, this guy has fought so many times. I like Clay Guida, how he smacks himself in the face and punches himself in the chin and gets himself really amped up for the fights. I don't think that minus 1,000 is warranted in any UFC fighter versus any UFC fighter, and especially not Chase Hooper. I get it, and we saw him piece up Slava Claus. We really like Slava Claus before he slipped on the D'arce. But I don't know. I mean, with these odds, I kind of got to throw a quarter unit at my guy Clay Guida and pray. I don't know.
The
I'm
odds
not
are
sure.
the odds are insane. Like, they're absolutely insane. So, like, do you think he has any chance against Hooper, or do you think he's gonna get subbed up?
Nah, man, this is just lightweight Hooper. You just don't bet against right now, bro. Like, on the track to, hey man, he got that what's that? What's the word I'm looking for? Like that. He had the baby body. Now he got the adult body right now. So, you just don't want to bet against that right now. So I'm gonna go with Chase Hooper. Like you said, I'm waiting for odds to see what's the KO or sub, because Clay Guida, he's just destined to be sub nowadays. So Chase Hooper by sub, probably first or second round.
Yeah, I see it that way too. Next up, and we only got a couple left. This is a good one, man. And I was racking my brain about this fight. It's Joshua Van minus 150 against Cody Durden plus 125. Mr. Plus, you were talking about don't sleep on Cody Durden. Guy's a dog. You were a big fan of his. Felt like he was sort of slept on just in general in the division. And he was putting it on Bruno Silva. I mean, he looked better than ever. Striking much improved. We know he comes out of the gates on fire, just setting a furious pace. And, of course, he's got the chain wrestling. He's got submissions. Van, heavy-handed young striker. I mean, this is going to be a good matchup. Before, Durden got cracked by Bruno Silva and ended up losing that fight, he was winning it other than that moment. So I'm wondering, can he avoid the big shot and put it on Van, or is Van going to crack him with something big? How do you see this fight playing out?
He was whooping Bruno Silva's ass. I just want to throw that out there. And I was on him that fight. I was not happy to see him get caught. That's really all he has to avoid here as well in this fight, is just getting caught by Joshua Van, who's got great stand-up, great hand speed. Some could say that Edgar Chairez could have. It was dependent who was judging that day. to get that fight. But before that, the Charles Johnson loss really exposed Joshua Van to show us that, I mean, maybe this guy's body's a little weak. Maybe you need to go head, body, man. Maybe you need to hit this guy in the solar plex. And that's exactly what Cody Durden loves to do. Dogfight, head, body, flying fists, make it dirty. I like Cody Durden plus money. Joshua Van kind of came out of nowhere and is getting too much praise. I don't buy the padded record and all that. Give me Cody Durden, veteran in the game, seen him many times before. I think it's a dogfight, but I think Cody Durden gets the best of him.
I lean Durden too, man. I was thinking of throwing a half unit. I was really high on Van, but then, and I still am. I think he's 23 years old. He's a damn good prospect. Slick, that Charles Johnson uppercut just changed a lot of the course of things right there for me. And I don't want to jump off the Van train, but I think it's going to be a really good matchup, tough one maybe, and maybe Durden can put it on him if he avoids the big damage. What do you think happens in this one?
Yeah, I would say that uppercut that Charles Johnson landed was his only KO in the last 4 years. So I would say that was probably a little, a little concerning in the sense that, Joshua Van was going tit for tat with Edgar Chairez, probably the more dangerous type of guy in this division. And I'm gonna lean Joshua Van in this spot. The one thing that we know about Cody Durden is that he's gonna try to come wrestle. I just believe in Joshua Van's takedown defense. We've seen nothing but good things about it. One of those types of guys that he gets up as soon as he gets down, doesn't really let you take advantage of those side controls, half guard situations. And I just think that I know Durden has been improving in his striking, but one thing he hasn't been improving in is his striking defense. And that's going to be a concern against Joshua Van in the sense that Joshua Van is not going to let him be able to wing those overhand rights that a lot of people like Bruno Silva. Like, I just don't think he has been able to take advantage of guys that aren't as tactical as Joshua Van. Bruno Silva is one of those guys that he's just one punch type of guy. He waits, and Cody Durden was able to take advantage of it. He was able to put some volume in his face. But we just seen Edgar Chairez do that against Joshua Van. And Joshua Van, the concern about him in that fight was him coming off 2 months short notice against a guy like Edgar Chairez, coming off that knockout loss. I think this is a good spot for Joshua Van to keep the activity going. And if this fight is on the feet, I just think everything's gonna fall in place for Joshua Van with the body shots. And Cody Durden, like I said, he's good with the striking. His striking has been improving, but his striking defense has not. So if Joshua Van gets going like how he has been in a lot of fights, he gets going in that second and third round, I just don't think Cody Durden is going to be able to dictate the pace like how he has in a lot of his fights where he's able to take advantage of those guys in the second and third rounds. So I'm going to take the shot on Joshua Van, minus 140.
There you go. Good points for Van there. We like Durden. Slick likes Van. I think it's going to be a really competitive fight. So I'm looking forward to that one. And finally, one more wide odds. It's the first fight of the night. It's Kennedy and Zechukwu taking on Lucas Brzeski. Zechukwu is minus 550. Wrap it up easy. I think he gets this one done. He's at heavyweight now, and he can move up the heavyweight division. That he's long, lanky frame. He's quicker. He's more skilled. He's coached by Saif Sayoud at Fortis MMA. Kennedy! Think, Kennedy! Think! At this point, I think he is thinking. So I think he does well and gets it done. I think he can knock out Brzeski. Slick. Easy work for Kennedy?
Yeah, I mean, the one concern about Kennedy is he going to come fight in his fights? If he does, I was looking at the heavyweight division. Like, Kennedy could actually make some good noise in the heavyweight division. The one concern about him going into that Barnett fight was his size. He looked like he framed out already to the heavyweight division. He was already cutting massive weight to get to 205 anyway. So, yeah, Kennedy by first. Nah, I was going to say first round, but I'm going to say second round KO. Second or third round KO. Hoping, Kennedy takes his time a little bit because Chris Barnett fuck around would have made it to at least the second round if he didn't hurt me on that jump that he did.
Yeah, man. I see it. Yeah, second round KO. I like that. Mr. Plus, in Zechukwu, easy work?
Easy work. I think rounds 1 or 2. I think he's gonna get it done early. When he finds his range and starts teeing off, he's a guy that'll just put you against the cage and he gets really relentless, Kennedy. And I've won good money on Kennedy before. I'm really happy he moved up to heavyweight because he looks like a heavyweight. And now he can fill out. Like Slick said, I want to see him on the scale. I want to see how he's been hitting the gym in the off season, right? It's only been a month, but okay, this guy's allowed to grow now, right? He's like whatever, 240, 230, 240 regular. Bro, get up to 250, put on some muscle mass, don't lose your speed. And yeah, this guy could be 6'5", 250 if he gets up to, bro, this guy could be a problem. Yeah, light work against Breshke. This is no, I don't even know how Breshke's still here. But I guess because the heavyweight division's already so thin. Give me Kennedy by destruction early, rounds 1 or 2.
Oh man, I like
Hey,
it, man.
bro, Terrence McKinney is on a 4-fight losing streak, and he just signed a 6-fight deal with the UFC. That just goes to show you sometimes the UFC needs these guys, man. Take one on the chin and, But I would say, though, at the end of the day, at least Breshke is a little fun. Like he makes fights. He tries to get into brawls on the feet. I would say that at least. He's not one of those Carl Williams type of guys. At least he tries to at least brawl, but brawling doesn't get you in a lot of spots nowadays in the UFC.
I guess it gets you fight contract extensions. So good enough, man. Yeah, interesting one there. I like the points you made about Nzechukwu growing into that size, man. I think I might have some more on him later this week in terms of that, investing in Kennedy Nzechukwu. But that's for a later date. This has been the D'arce Podcast with Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and Cal on the ones and twos, guys. Please do us a solid. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. Slick, what say you, sir?
We forgot a fight.
No way. Did I do it?
Vicente Luque versus Themba.
How could I have done that? Wow. Well, before we get out of here, we got to talk about Vicente Luque versus Themba
Because we
Gorimbo.
were speaking about it before we even started the show.
That's right. It almost felt like we covered it already. But Luque plus 135 dog. Gorimbo minus 160. Slick was talking pre-show about how the odds were crazy. Gorimbo opened up minus 250. Luque plus 210 dog. And looks like money coming in big on Vicente Luque. Damn near forgot about it. But I don't know. He looks odd to me, Mr. Plus. Something looks off. I mean, he just got clipped a little bit by Joaquin Buckley on the ground, kind of shelled up. Slick mentioned before, he sort of looks like hesitant in a lot of exchanges, like kind of out of sorts, like he doesn't know what game plan he wants to go for. And I don't think he's got it here. I think Gorimbo out-wrestles him and out-grapples him, out-grinds him. Gorimbo's a determined fighter, and I think he just puts it on Luque. So, yeah, I think the odds are where they are for a reason. What do you think?
You guys are really starting to convince me. I didn't have a pick. I'm leaning Vicente Luque just because of the name and who he is. And, he's a veteran in this sport. However, Themba Gorimbo, let's be honest, they want him to win. They like this guy. Remember how we always talk about the narratives in the UFC and the storylines and the homeless guy and The Rock gave him a house. And now he's making a name for himself in the UFC. I mean, they really do want this guy to win. And he's another one like Pantoja with some pretty good fight IQ. And Themba Gorimbo kind of realizes where he needs to take the fights. And when he needs to grapple, he grapples. And when he needs to clinch, he clinches. And when he wants to keep it standing up, he'll keep it standing up. So, yeah, I don't know. I've really got to see how Luque looks on the scales and everything. Because, honestly, Themba Gorimbo is going to be probably the sharper, cleaner, more ready guy. Now, these guys are probably they're the same age. But Luque's been in the UFC for so long, he's an aged 33, while Themba Gorimbo is more of a fresh, this is my opportunity 33. So I like, I kind of like where you guys are going. I also like Themba Gorimbo's nickname, The Answer. Nice one. Yeah, I don't know. I might take a shot on him with one other leg in a parlay if I don't do the plus money on Luque.
There you go. Yeah, I think Slick, you brought it up. Luque just like kind of looking odd. Looking off and odd right now. And Mr. Plus, The Rock buying Themba a house. I mean, the narrative is there, right, for the guy to continue succeeding. But what do you think of Themba Gorimbo in the spot? You think maybe a finish is in store for, like Mr. Plus said, a lot of miles on the tires for Luque. Maybe that chin is cracked.
That's the one concern about if you're betting Luque in this spot, because going into before that Jeff Neal fight, the one thing that we loved about Luque was his durability. His able to eat one to give one. Like against Jalen Turner, he ate probably one of the cleanest right hands ever. and he turned that into knocking out Jalen Turner 3 seconds later. You know, he's fought some of the best, finished some of the best, and that was the one concern about him. You know, now he's talking about, like, I've seen some interviews saying that he's feeling great, but I just don't believe that. He said that against Joaquin Buckley. He said that in that fight, saying that he felt the best he ever felt outside of that fight. You know, in that Rafael dos Anjos fight, he was saying that, you know, he was a little hesitant. You know, he wanted to get the grappling going to show a new part of his game plan. And that's a concern for me, like, in the sense that whenever you're fighting a guy like Vicente Luque, you want him to get into those brawls. You want him to be able to be on the other side of that war, you know? And now he's like, he shot 15 plus, like, I think he shot like 12 plus takedowns against Rafael dos Anjos. We have never seen that against in Vicente Luque's game plan. Against Joaquin Buckley, he comes in there, throws 5 body kicks in a row in that fight. And then after that, he shows up. And replay shows that a lot of those shots that Joaquin Buckley was even hitting on the ground and pound wasn't even landing. He had his hands up. They hitting the side of his hands. I have never seen Vicente Luque like that, man. And like he's fighting. And the one thing I will be like, you know, if this was an out of the blue matchup, Themba Gorimbo called out Vicente Luque his last fight. He's been calling out these guys in the top 15, 20. So if Themba Gorimbo, if he comes in here with a good game plan, which I believe he is, he's in a great camp. I believe he's in Colby Covington's camp. And well, I don't know if he's still in that camp, but I think this is a good spot for Themba, man. Make the fight more boring. If Vicente Luque doesn't come in there with, I'ma just come in there to just kill, then I don't think he's gonna win this fight, man. I think Themba's gonna be able to get him on the ground, get hold position, hold half guard, and at the end of the day, I just don't know what to think about Luque, man. This is a fight, like, I bet on Luque. I was there in AC, and I just didn't know what I was watching. Like, it's just a whole nother person, you know. So I got to go with Themba, and I like the fight to go to decision at -150.
There you have it, man. Fight to go the distance, and Themba unanimous there. Luque, maybe Dunzo. All right, guys. Well, we're Dunzo here from the D'arce podcast. We covered every fight on UFC 310. Good luck if you're tailing us. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you're rocking with, and I hope you enjoyed the show. From myself, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and Cal on the ones and twos, we salute you. Good luck on your 310 bets, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
What did she catch her with? Choke? Do you know what kind of choke?
The D'arce.
D'arce choke.
Jasmine Jasudavicius here. Don't forget to tap into the D'arce podcast.